It was just getting light this morning. The day had not yet dawned, but we were already on our way. We had made our preparations the night before, checked our weapons, and put the dogs to bed early so that they could recover their energy, because today was not going to be an ordinary day. According to reports, a large herd of pigs had been haunting the swampy area behind the valley for some time. These animals were not only ravaging the fields, but also coming down to the villages at night, attacking coops, digging up gardens, and even harming domestic animals. As such, this was no longer a pleasure hunt, but a duty. When we first arrived in the field, all was quiet. The dogs took the lead, and we slowly followed behind them. The fog had not yet lifted, and there was a misty haze among the trees. First, we opened onto the plains close to the swamp. One of the dogs suddenly started barking. Then the others joined in. We realized they had found a trail. I slung my gun over my shoulder and kept my finger on the trigger. Then a huge wild boar jumped out of the bushes. First it looked left and right, then it panicked when it saw the dogs and started to run away. But it was too late for me. I pulled the trigger. The first bullet hit him in the shoulder. The pig staggered but kept running. I immediately fired a second bullet, this time hitting him in the back leg. The third bullet hit him in the back of the neck, and he collapsed. The first to fall. After this successful start, we were even more motivated. It was still early in the morning, and I had a long day ahead of me. A little further on, the dogs started barking again. This time, a group of 3 came out of the bushes. My friend aimed at the one on his left. I aimed at the one in the middle. We fired quickly. My bullet hit him right in the chest. The pig rolled like a somersault in the air and fell to the ground. The other one ran a little further, but the dogs kept after him. Within 5 minutes, he was caught too. By noon, a total of 7 pigs had been neutralized. But strangely, the herd still hadn't completely dispersed. This meant there was a much larger group in the area. We immediately changed our plan. We took up positions dividing the valley in 2. Myself and 2 friends went up the left slope. The other team would go around to the right. We used the walkie-talkies to stay in touch. At that moment, a humming sound came from the opposite valley. It was as if the ground was shaking. Then we realized that another herd was coming down fast. Dozens of pigs. They were coming at us like a black flood. It's hard to describe the excitement we felt at that moment. We held our breath, squinted our eyes, shouldered our guns, and then it happened. The shooting started. Bullets flew in the air. Pigs ran around. Some fell immediately when they were hit. Others kept running with the last bit of strength. But in the end, most of them were neutralized. In that moment alone, 8 pigs were knocked down. It was a truly unforgettable moment. It was not a hunt. It was like a frontline battle. By the time it was after 2 o'clock, we had shot 16 pigs. But there were still noises. Pig grunts, footsteps coming from the deep valley. We had no intention of leaving this job unfinished. As the sun slowly shifted to the west, we moved deeper into the forest, through thorn bushes, across an old creek bed. Suddenly, the dogs all turned in one direction. Then the bushes shook, and another huge pig appeared. His head was low to the ground, his back straight, his fur standing on end. It was one of the biggest pigs I'd ever seen in my life. I squeezed the trigger. The bullet hit, but only wounded it. The pig started running towards me. At the last second, I jumped to the side and fired a second bullet, this time in the heart. That huge body just collapsed. Before the day was over, we hunted 3 more, totaling around 20. When the villagers came, they couldn't believe their eyes when they saw them. Everyone thanked us. "These are the ones who made the fields like this," they said. We smiled silently, and with the peace of mind that we had fulfilled our mission, we collected our rifles, rewarded our dogs, and left at sunset. If you have watched the video so far and experienced the hunt with us, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This kind of content is only possible with your support. After leaving the forest, we were on our way to the village. but we still had that familiar feeling of unfinished business. No matter how many pigs we had shot, the tracks and the dogs' reactions showed that there were still other groups around. In particular, the pine grove to the southwest of the village was a place where no one had set foot for a long time. It was difficult to reach because it was surrounded by steep cliffs, but that's why we were sure that the wild boars had taken up residence there.
Gördüm. Çektin mi? Bu arada at.
As darkness approached, we decided as a team we would finish the job there. Despite the fatigue, the dogs were still energetic. We parked the vehicles at the edge of the forest and started walking in silence. It took us about half an hour to reach the pine grove. It was pitch black inside. The wind rustled the leaves, and the distant owl calls made the night even more eerie. But we were used to it. After our eyes got used to the darkness, we started to notice movement. One of the dogs suddenly stopped, lifted its nose in the air, sniffed a few times, and then took off. The others ran after him, and we quickly got into position. I confirmed over the radio that everyone was ready. Suddenly, there was such a growl that the silence of the night was shattered. Then, 3 large pigs burst out of the pines. One ran towards me, one in my friend's direction, and one tried to escape into the pines. As soon as I pressed the trigger, I locked eyes with the pig, and time seemed to slow down. The bullet hit him right on the forehead, and he fell to the ground. The other one was shot by my friend, but the third one disappeared into the pines. We let the dogs out after him. As we went deeper into the forest, new tracks began to appear in the leaves on the ground. Fresh footprints in the wet earth. We followed them carefully, startled by a crunching sound coming from the right. There was silence for a moment, then a branch snapped, and we saw a huge pig coming out of the pines. This one was really big, maybe one of the biggest we had ever shot. I immediately took aim, but it was very fast. I fired at its hind leg as it ran past me. I realized it was hit, but it was still running. My friends tried to cut him off from the other side. A chase started in the forest. The chase lasted about 5 minutes. Finally, the animal got tired, stopped, and turned around. In a last-ditch effort, it tried to attack the dogs, but I sneaked up behind it and aimed right at the nape of its neck. That last bullet ended it all. This hard struggle was successfully completed. Later that night, it got colder and the wind picked up, but we still hadn't returned. Our dogs were relentless. A few times we encountered smaller groups, some individually, some in pairs. We were prepared for all of them, and these small encounters added to the abundance of the hunt. Finally, as we traveled along a bumpy path, we came across another herd of pigs in the middle of the valley. There were at least 7 or 8 of them. The wind was against us, so they didn't notice us. We took up positions in silence, everyone locked onto a target. At the same time, 3, 2, 1. The bullets started raining down. 4 of them were knocked down by this sudden attack. The others started to run, but the dogs didn't give them a chance. 2 more fell, the others ran away, disappearing deeper into the forest. It was past midnight. By the end of the day, we had shot more than 25 pigs, and there were some really huge ones among them. It was not only a successful hunt, but also a great cleanup that allowed the villagers to breathe a sigh of relief. By the time we were on our way back, there was a satisfying tiredness on everyone's faces. The dogs were silently following us, rifles on our shoulders, feet stuck in the mud, but we were at peace. If you've watched this video so far and experienced these moments with us, please don't forget to leave a like. Also, if you subscribe, you won't miss our new hunting stories. we are always in the field, on the trail of pigs. At the end of the hunt, everyone was smiling, but we still had a feeling. This night was still not over. When we reached a small flat by the roadside, one of the dogs started barking again. Normally, tired dogs calm down at the end of the hunt, but this time it was different. Our instincts kicked in, and we were immediately on high alert. Just beyond the plain in the darkness, a faint movement caught our eye. When I shone the flashlight on it, we couldn't believe our eyes. A new herd of pigs, consisting of at least 6 or 7 heads, was moving silently along the edge of the forest. Moreover, one of them was unusually large, as evidenced by its body. Wasting no time, we took up positions, some of us circling around to the left, others lurking on the edge of the plain. We released the dogs, but this time we were careful. We wanted to direct the pigs in our direction without making the defeat too big. The dogs worked exactly as we wanted. The herd hurried in our direction. As soon as the first pig appeared, I squeezed the trigger. The bullet hit him right in the shoulder, but he didn't fall. He staggered and kept running. Then I fired a second shot, this time right in the heart. It collapsed. Immediately afterwards, 3 more shots were heard from my friend's side. 3 more pigs fell, but the huge one had not yet appeared. A silence fell over us. Everyone was waiting for that moment. And finally, as if it had burst out of the ground, that big black body burst out of the pines. His eyes shone. Vapors rose from his snout. The earth trembled with every step. Seeing such a big boar so close left everyone frozen for a moment. But our reflexes were trained. We all fired at the same time, at least 6 bullets hitting the target at the same time. But the monstrous pig didn't fall for a moment. It took 4 or 5 more steps, then dropped to its knees and collapsed. We rushed to him and approached him carefully. It was indeed the biggest pig ever. It weighed at least 200 kilos. After this victory, all the fatigue of the night evaporated. We lit the fire, brewed tea, and talked about the excitement of the hunt. Some of us said, "That pig was coming towards me. If it had taken 1 more step, I wouldn't have been able to shoot it." While others said, "I spotted it at the last moment on that slope. We saved it with seconds." The memories of that night were not just of a hunt, but of a team working together and achieving victory. As the first rays of morning appeared on the horizon, we started our return. We loaded the pigs into the vehicles and set off for the village. The sunlight filtering through the mountains along the way illuminated the events of the night like a movie scene. When we reached the village square, everyone was waiting for us. An old farmer approached us and said with tears in his eyes, "We will sleep well now. God bless you all." At that moment, we realized once again how precious everything was. We were not only hunting, but also bringing peace to these lands. If you have followed this story this far, you are now a part of this team. If you want to be with us on the hunting grounds and experience this excitement firsthand, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you support us with your likes and comments, we will continue to make these adventures even bigger for you. See you in new videos, random